Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is Peter Lavelle, co-founder of the Gaggle, host also of RT's talk show Crosstalk. Well, yesterday we had the first indications of how the second impeachment trial of Donald Trump will go. Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky tabled a motion deeming the trial of Donald Trump unconstitutional for the obvious ground that it says in the Constitution that an impeachment is of an impeachment of an incumbent president and his removal from office, and then his being denied any subsequent public office. Since Donald Trump is no longer in office, he cannot, by definition, be removed from office. And so, therefore, any trial of Donald Trump would be in violation of the Constitution. And as evidence, he cited that Chief Justice John Roberts has already said that he will not preside over this trial. He said, well, it clearly indicates that the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court doesn't think that this is a constitutional exercise. So a vote was held, and Paul's motion was defeated 55 votes to 45. What was significant about it was that there were only 5 defections from the Republican side. And they, of course, included the usual cast of suspects: Mitt Romney, Ben Sasse, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and some guy from Pennsylvania whose name I always forget.
Nobody cares.
Yes, exactly. But what was significant is that the Republicans that much of the media were praying would desert to the Democrats, namely Mitch McConnell, perhaps Lindsey Graham, that desertion did not materialize. And so that 45 votes, that is already an indication that the Democrats do not have anything remotely like the votes to convict. Because, of course, in order to convict, Democrats would need 67 votes to do so. 55 is pretty much their upper limit, in which case a trial will go forward with already a preordained outcome. An amazingly futile exercise. Peter, what's your take?
You know who got burned the most in all of this is McConnell. He likes to think of himself as the smartest guy in the room, but he blew it. Okay, he's got egg on his face right now because it's all cozy with the New York Times and other media about his doubts and maybe and all of this, all his pillow talk with the media. But then when push comes to shove, he doesn't have any backbone. Okay, so I mean, he's minority leader. This could change the dynamics here. Okay, because he didn't even kind of, from what I know, maybe I'm wrong, but he didn't even really speak out one way or another. It took Rand Paul to take the lead on this here, which is very indicative of maybe some of the shifts going on now. Being minority leader is not a big deal, okay? So, anyway, McConnell, this is his last term. Maybe he's going to tie up loose ends. He's going to cash out and all of this, okay? But McConnell came out looking very wimpish in all this. I was trying to think of an analogy about this whole thing that's going on. And is that you exhume a dead body, put it on trial, convict it, execute it, and put it back in the ground. That's what this is.
Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Just to follow up on that, I think that Jonathan Turley cited precisely this analogy to what happened to Oliver Cromwell after the Restoration. They dug up his body, put his skull and hoisted it for public display so that everyone can spit at.
The London Bridge. The London Bridge. Yep, that's right. I knew that history, but I didn't connect it when I just made up my analogy here. Wow. deep recesses of my mind here, the synapses are loosening up a little bit. But obviously what this is a show trial, okay? And what it is, what the Democrats are doing in the media is trying to do is they're trying to put a lot of spotlight on individual Republicans, okay, to taint them with the insurrection, which was not an insurrection, everybody. It wasn't an insurrection, okay? It was a mob that got out of control, and it looks like, from what we know from media reports, there was some agans provocateur involved in this too. We don't know the whole story. I'm not going to draw a conclusion here, but I'm very much against the people. I just did a recording of Crosstalk, had two guests, two Democrats, just insurrection, and I was thankfully we had John Laughlin on. John Laughlin said, no, it wasn't, in his very typical way. So this is just competing media narratives here. It's the Democrats, the media, big tech wanting to keep the advantage, keep the heat on. But the pathetic thing about this, George, is that the only glue that keeps them together is Trump still?
Right.
Really?
Right.
Really? This is pathetic. It shows you how afraid they are, how weak they are with their ideas, okay? Because they need a straw man to keep their act together.
Yes, no, I think that's right. None of these executive actions that Biden has taken enjoy any popularity. So yesterday, a court has already ruled out one of his executive orders on deportations. So that's a nice early defeat for the Biden administration. Then you have the executive actions on sport, in which basically they're saying biological boys can take part in girls' sports. So in other words, girls pretty much now have no prospect of winning. And that's a serious issue because, of course, it affects scholarships, because there are so many scholarships tied to, with sports. So that means that really affects girls, and particularly African-American girls, for whom scholarships to colleges is a very big deal. So these are all unpopular measures. And then you now have, obviously, some of the Democrats were worried about getting reelected, are already ruling out ending the filibuster. So we're all expecting this, but now two senators have come out and said that they will not support ending the filibusters. So already the votes aren't there for ending that. So you're absolutely right. This is an unpopular administration. Biden looks out of it. Every time he appears, he just looks like some, an old man kind of fiddling around, doesn't seem to know what he's doing. And then our old friend Jen Psaki, his performances are just so terrible. And when you think of all the media hysteria about Trump and the Trump White House, in comparison to Jen Psaki, that was a model of clear, lucid presentation.
Jen Psaki looks like the grand niece trying to explain grandpa. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
What he needs here. I don't know, maybe he needs to wear sunglasses because his eyes look like little pinholes, and he's really, really having difficulty reading from the auto cue, okay? And there's no diction or cadence or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, at least the spokespeople for Trump were entertaining, okay, but this is just turning into something.
Kayleigh McEnany, I mean, she was a very polished performer. I mean, irrespective, you agree with her or not agree with her, she was a very polished performer, and she took all questions, as did Trump, incidentally. Unlike Biden, everything has to be very carefully staged as to which reporters get called and which don't.
Do you notice that Jen, every time she gets asked a question, she kind of inhales, smiles,
right? Yes,
a little embarrassed, but
and she has
she's being fed like she's a pigeon. Okay, I mean, no one's going to really ask a hard question. I mean, unless they banish the Fox News correspondent. But the thing is that Joe Biden has a very large, outsized portrait of FDR in his office, and you know what? The FDR's New Deal was a complete failure. Okay, it was a complete failure, but it was a political success. Okay, economically it didn't work. Politically it did work. Okay, and he was a class traitor for his rich millionaire friends and families. He was a class traitor. Every single major newspaper hated him. It hated him over and over again, election after election after election, presidential election, midterm, presidential election, for 4 cycles. Okay, what did FDR do? Got on the radio. I'm here. We're going to stick together. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And he tried one program after another. The majority of them failed. Some of them worked. Okay, that's, if you want to be FDR, that's what you need to do. Okay, and you know what Joe's doing. No, let me tell you what he's doing. I've been watching this very carefully. He's still a senator. He still thinks he's a senator in his head. Right. He's basically in these puff comments, and then he's we'll find compromise in the Senate. He's always looking to the Senate. It's like, you're the man, you're the man.
Right.
But he doesn't. He's not embraced his position.
Well, I don't think that anyone's going to confuse Joe Biden with FDR. I think that
what I'm saying is,
but okay. Look, he's a president that nobody wanted. FDR, he had a landslide victory. When you have a landslide victory, you have margin in which to maneuver. Biden does not have, and therefore, as you say, the Democrats really don't have any other issue other than Trump. So everything still goes back to Trump. Now, the Republicans, in particular like Mitch McConnell, they misjudged things. They thought, hey, this is our opportunity to get Trump, to destroy Trump, eliminate Trumpism. But it didn't happen. I mean, they've seen that there's an absolute outrage within the party at going after Trump. So basically 10 Republicans in the House voted to impeach. And now they've only had 5 these Republicans who deserted, but they all hated Trump anyway. So it's not like they were persuaded by anything. I mean, these people would, they go against Trump at any time. I mean, most people thought that they would vote to impeach him and convict him last time. I mean, it was surprising Susan Collins didn't vote to convict last time. So there's no surprise there.
You know what's really bizarrely funny about this situation is Trump being kicked off of all these platforms, because Mitch has no idea what Trump is thinking right now. Right. It must keep him up at night. Right. He must be thinking, what is he going to do? What is he going to do next? Where's he going to show up? Right. I mean, everybody is, leaving the light on at night. Okay, it's like, what's going to happen? I mean, I always tell these people, because these people are of mediocre intelligence and of gross greed. Okay, is that be careful what you wish for. You got rid of him, but where is he? Why are you still obsessed with him if you got rid of him? Right. Okay, right. Because they have nothing else. Okay. Except for their bipartisan, pro-war, and soak the middle class. It's the only thing they all have in common. Okay.
Right. No.
And they made Trump. They brought him to power. Okay. None of them take any responsibility why people voted the way they did in 2016, and whatever happened in 2020, I still don't know, and I don't think we ever will know.
No, that's exactly right. And of course, the Biden administration is pursuing exactly the policies that Obama pursued, and that did bring Trump to power. I mean, if you start opening borders, and if you start essentially removing all restrictions on people coming in, well, we will soon have the terrorist wave that we have in 2015 and 2016. It's bound to come. And we'll have what was also happening in those years, which is wages being constantly driven down by an unending supply of cheap labor. And this has been Biden's top priority. Instead of saying, okay, I want unity, my top priority will be economic stimulus, economic recovery, infrastructure, all the sorts of things that actually generate popularity. There's even popularity for somebody like Biden. Instead, you seize on the most divisive issues imaginable which is this gender thing. Then we have Susan Rice talking about domestic equity, so that we're going to make sure that everywhere we look there is equity for
Yeah, I mean,
minorities.
Susan Rice,
All divisiveness.
but I saw her speech. Equity really coming from you, Susan Rice? You went to Stanford? You married money?
Very rich woman.
I don't know if you're involved in pay for play. I have no idea if
Right.
that's true or not. I have no idea. But you're doing pretty well. But you're going to pick this administration is going to pick winners and losers.
Right.
You're going to decide who wins and who loses. And there was not one word ever mentioned. I didn't hear it. Merit? Is there any merit in the room? Is there any merit here?
No. It's all exactly. It is all. Everything is. When we have to do this for minorities, it also seems to me to be unconstitutional, because you can't really have government mandating preferences to any racial, ethnic, religious, whatever group. I mean, that basically is a violation of the 14th Amendment. So I don't know how long the Biden administration can go on pursuing this policy without it being challenged in court for its unconstitutionality.
But it's so condescending. It's that you can't make it, so we're going to give you a pass. We're going to make it easier. It's so condescending. It's racist. It is racist because it's picking winners over losers because of the way you look. That's wrong. We were taught that as children.
But
You and I both.
Yeah, but you have those amendments to the Constitution. You have and those were the ones that were used to throw down all of the racial restrictions, because you're saying, hey, is this government giving preferences to one ethnic group over another? But this is what the Biden, saying explicitly. They talk about economic assistance. Economic assistance will be targeted towards minorities. Well, you can't target federal money toward minorities. I mean, you got to federal money has to be targeted towards those in need. You can't just simply say, well, it has to be a minority. You get money. You're not a minority. Go to the back of the line.
But see, the even if the intention is good, and we'll leave that standing alone here, but the resentment that it creates, okay, is that why can't everyone have? See, I'm for equal opportunity, but these people they demand equity. They demand certain outcomes. Well, that's social engineering, okay, and so it's the state that will determine who will succeed and who won't succeed. Well, then the entire social fabric falls apart.
Yeah,
because if you're not in the chosen group, then why should you even try?
Well, the problem is that I mean, these are financial aids and so on. So if you give money to A, that means B doesn't get any money, and so B says, well, why didn't I get anything? I'm just as deserving. I don't have any money. And my college grades or whatever are better than his, yet I don't get any money. Well, tough luck. You have the wrong color skin. That is, that is inherently unfair. Simply, and so what's the basis for that? Oh, well, because I don't know how many generations ago, your ancestors did something bad to that person's ancestors. Yes, but I didn't. So why am I being? So there's no equity.
Well, I mean, take my family's example. My ancestors are from Ireland. They immigrated to the United States after the Civil War, settled in New England. So there's nobody in my family lineage that had anything to do with slavery or Jim Crow. Okay. As a matter of fact, my immigrant ancestors were probably treated pretty badly in America, the first generation, because the Irish were treated horrifically. Okay. So, I mean, maybe I ought to get reparations here. This comes from white liberals. Okay. It makes them feel good, but they have no idea what the implications for society will be, because it's not binding, it's separating and pulling people apart, creating tension, creating distrust.
Right. No, I think that's a very good. Exactly, that's a very good point about it. It makes liberals feel good without actually thinking through about the implications of the policy. It not unlike humanitarian intervention. It makes you feel good, but then when somebody says, yeah, but what are you going to do the day after you've destroyed this country, destroyed its government, fragmented its society? What do you do on the day after? Well, we don't really think about that, because I just want to feel good. I feel good about bombing Gaddafi or bombing Assad. Yeah, that's it. I mean, feeling good is not a guide for policy.
That's right. Okay, we got rid of Gaddafi. Let's go out and have some Italian food. What do you
Exactly.
say?
Yeah, let's go get a bite to eat. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's off to a very bad start, and I really want to stress the fact, and I think I'm going to be proven out here, is that in Joe Biden's head, he still thinks of himself as a senator, and I suppose the people around him find that just perfectly fine, because he pops out, he reads the auto cue, and then he puts a lid on it, as they say here. I mean, he's a dream come true for the circle around him, the Obamacons, as I call them.
No, I think that's right. I mean, it does sound like, they just write all these memos for him, and then, here's an executive action. I think, in fact, I think there is some footage of him saying mumbling something like, "I don't know what I'm signing here." So, here's this, sign that. Okay, right, and then this as well. Yeah, good. Okay, bye, bye, Grandpa. I think probably time for your hot cocoa. No.
Nappy, nappy.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Peter. We will, of course, be maintaining our laser-like focus on the doings in Washington. And remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.